So our next step is to add the JavaScript part to this project. So let's start with it. So for that we need to open our script.js file. And this is the style we have done in the previous CSS part of the project. So the first thing is we need to fetch the ID of the elements. So right now we have three IDs we need to fetch, which is input type and this to-do list, which is a UL list, and the button. Okay. For that I'm actually here seeing the ID. The first ID is a new to-do. So I'm going to copy this ID and coming back to the script part. So here I will be using the first const variable and then the list of the, then I'm going to specify the name as to-do list. Then I will be using the document.get element by ID. And then here I need to specify the ID inside the double quotes. And after that I need to copy this line of code and pasting it into two more times. And then I need to specify here new to do input. Also then the name of this variable is going to like add to do btn. Okay. I need to copy the ID, which is add to do btn, which is the ID of the button. So I'm going to specify it here. And I need to copy the ID of the to-do list. To-do list ID. So this is a new to-do list. So this is actually the to-do list ID. I have actually copied the wrong one. Okay, so that's now completely ID. The list is for to-do list, new to-do input, new to-do input, then add to-do button, and then add to-do button. So these are the three variables. We have now finally fetched the ID of the elements. And after that, here I will be using the add to-do button, add event listener. So instead of that, we are going to add the listener, and then I need to specify the column. Then I will be here using the click. And here I'm going to specify the function. The event that we are going to, or I can use the arrow function. So arrow function, we need to provide the fat arrow. Okay, so this will be the arrow function. Then need to specify the body of the arrow function. Okay, and then inside of that we need to add the const variable. So this is basically used to hold the new to do text. Whatever we will type inside this to do input type, it's going to hold inside of this particular variable. Okay, so it is going to be new to do text is equal to, then we need to set the value of new to do input dot value. So whatever value is coming from the input type, we are going to set it here. No, it's actually value. And after that, we need to check for the empty to do. So we are going to use if condition, then the body of the if. Instead of that, first I will be writing the new to do input. So we need to check whether the new to do input is not equal to empty string. If it is an empty, then we don't want to allow it to enter into the list. That is why this condition is here used. After that, I'm again going to carry another constant variable. So this is time is actually the new to do item is equal to document dot get element by ID. So we don't need to get the element. We want to create the element. Create element. So we want to actually append the element inside the HTML document. So we actually creating the new to do item. Okay. So this will be the new to do item variable. This will actually be the item that will be entered inside the list. And after that, we need to use the new to do item dot inner text. So after creating the list, we need to update its inner text is equal to the new to text that we are getting from the input type. So let me first complete it. New to do text. So these two lines of code is it's actually going to create the li element in the HTML document. And after creating the document, we need to update its inner text value with the new to do text. This new to do text value is coming from the new to do input, which is this input. Okay, so these two lines of code is actually clear to you, I hope. Then the next we need to create the delete button. Right now you can see this is a delete button. So we need to create this HTML element as well. So again, I'm going to here use the const keyword, and then I will be here using delete and to do btn. So it's going to be like a button is equal to document dot. Then we need to again create the element. It is going to be like create element, and then what element we want to create. So we want to create the button element. Okay, after creating the button, then we need to append it with the to do. Okay, so again we need to create the same process. We need to update its text property so that we can provide this X button just to indicate the cross to actually delete the to do. Okay, so again here I will be using the delete to do button dot inner text. We're going to update its inner text value. Then we need to initialize it with the delete to do btn value. Okay, so this is for the, or I can go with the like X, we need to append it, not delete one. First, we need to add the X here. To do will be creative. So if I just simply I enter here this, and if I enter, then you can see nothing is working because right now we are not displaying the result inside the UL. We are just creating these to-dos inside the variable scope. We are not displaying it. So let me first complete the code, then I will be show you the output. After that, we need to add the class list element to this delete to do button so that it can delete the to do from the UI. So for that, here I will be using again delete to do btn dot class list. So this will be the class list dot. I'm going to add using the function add. Then we need to start the bracket, and inside bracket we need to specify the code inside the double quotes. So we actually want to delete to do btn. So whatever the button we have, so here we will specify the delete to do btn. Okay, so this will actually use to delete the to do button, and then after that we need to here use the delete to do btn, and then we need to add here the add event listener so that when we click on the button, then we can remove the to do. So for that, again we need to specify the terminator here, and then we need to specify the event which is going to be the click event. Then we need to specify here the function, then the body of the function, and inside of this function we need to add a line of code which is to do item. So new to do item, which is actually the new to do item. This is a variable one. We need to call a function called remove. Okay, so this when we click on this X button, then it's going to remove the to do from the list. And after that, we need to create the list, means append the code inside the list. Once we add the delete procedure, we need to update the to do as well. So new to do input dot append child. So this will be our append child, and then we're going to use here delete to do btn. Okay, and then we need to add the, because once we delete the delete functionality will be performed when the button is clicked, then we also need to append the delete button inside the new item, because it will be also act as a part of the task, or I can say that the to do. Then we need to update the to do list, which is our main UL list. Okay, so inside of that we need to use the append child functionality, append child method. Then inside of that we need to provide the new to do item, which is the main new to do item. This will be the new to do item. We need to append it to the list so that we can display it. And then we need to set the new to our, once we enter the value, we need to also make sure once we click on it, this edit means this input type will become empty. So to do that, we are going to here add the code which is new to do input dot value is equals to empty string. So that marks the completion of the code for the to-do list application. Okay, so if I completely save it, and if I run this project by just refreshing it, and here I will be adding my first, this is the first, if I add here first task, and if I click on add, then you can see we are getting here empty one. Why? And if I enter, then you can see we have this empty one, we can delete it, but right now the text is not appearing. We are actually adding the to-dos. So there is a mistake. So we need to figure out where is we have made a typo. So guys, the problem is here inside of this code is we actually comparing here the wrong input variable. So here we need to compare the new to-do text instead of new to-do input. So I'm going to copy this and I will be replacing it here. So once we compare the text, if it is not empty, then we want to execute the code. Also here, instead of new to-do input, we need to update the value of the new to-do item, because right now this is actually holding the list item. Okay, so we need to replace it this new to do input with this variable. So I'm going to copy this here and I will be pasting it here. After that, once we control save it, and then I will be adding here this is the to do. Now to do, this is to do. If I can add it, then you can see now we are actually able to see the text. Then we can add here a drink water. And if I control means click on the add button, then you can see we are getting the second to do drink water. If I click on this, then we can also delete the to do. So the next step is we need to add the CSS so that we can see like this. Okay, so you can see like this one. So to add this type of CSS, we need to coming back to this CSS file. So the first thing is we need to add the CSS for the UL, which is for the unordered list, selecting the UL selector, which is for the unordered list. So first step is we need to add the list style to none so that we can remove the basic styling like bullets of the list. Then we need to specify the padding to 0. Then I need to specify the margin top property, which is going to be like 20 pixel. So if I save it, if I enter here like some text, this, and if I enter here, then you can see there is nothing is changed because we need to style the list element as well. The only thing is actually removed is the bullets of the list. Okay. Then I'm going to select the li element, and then inside of this li element, first I need to specify the padding. Padding from all sides is going to be like 10 pixel. And then I need to specify the background property, which is the background color. So the background color is like 3 times E, which is for the dark. Then from the margin bottom property, which is going to be like 5 pixel. And after that, I need to specify here border radius property, which is also be 5 pixel. Then we need to specify the display property. So display is going to be like flex. And then we need to specify the justify content center, and then align items at center. So once I save it, then you can see the text is now text and the button is actually at the center of the screen. So instead of doing that justify content center, we can add it as the space between. So if I save it, so now if I enter here a long text like this is the first to do task to be completed. Okay, so now the element is actually changed. Also, we need to add the style to this button because right now they are actually following the same style code for this add button. So to do that, but before that, we also need to specify one more element, which is the li, and then here I will be using the last child function, means the last child property. So last child property is going to like bottom 0 pixel. If I save it, then you can see this property is now applied. Then we need to add the code for the button. So we have specified the ID to the button inside the JavaScript file. You can see that this is a delete to do class list add. So we are actually specifying the class selector to this delete to do button variable. We can adding the class element directly, means dynamically with the JavaScript code. So we need to use this ID name. This is delete to do button. Control C, copy it. And then if I coming back to the CSS part, here I will be using the dot and then pasting the name of the class. Then instead of that, first we need to add the background color. So the background color is going to be like red. So here I will be using the red color. Okay. And then I need to specify the font color. So the font color is going to be like white. So I'm using the color names here. You can use RGB function just to speed up the process. I just use here the color name. Then color is going to be none. And then I need to specify the padding. So padding is going to be like 5 pixel from the top and bottom. Then from left and right is going to be like 10 pixel. And after that, I need to use border radius property. So border radius is going to like 3 pixel. And then I will be using the cursor property. Or circle is like cursor pointer. So once I save it, then you can see the button style is actually changed. The only thing is we need to change the hover state of the button as well. So if I control C it and control CV, then here I'm going to add the hover element. So delete button, and then we need to change the color here. So here I will be using the hashtag D32 for my color name. So this will be the color, which is slightly darker than the previous color. Okay, so that marks the completion of the code for the CSS part as well. The leftover CSS part. This is style we need to add after the JavaScript code because all of this style is actually coming dynamically. That is the reason we have specified this code once we completed the JavaScript. So if I completely refresh it and then add the like drink water, okay, do coding, stuff. So once you complete the to-do list task, then you can simply, if you did the coding stuff, then you can remove it. Okay, so that marks the completion of this to-do list application lecture. So if you like this lecture, then leave a review, because your review definitely helps me to actually improve my courses. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture.